How you guys doing? This is very important in reference to history and in reference to my great grandfathers and grandmothers and great, grandfathers and my grandfathers and grandmothers and my mother and father and value of the history of my family history. And I'm the last living relative, and I'm the only child of my mother and father. And, in reference to the abuses that I've been through and the injuries from government and their terroristic activities of abusing me and stealing from me and holding me hostage and kidnapping me and all the activities of when they kidnapped me back in the 80s and the news reports, where's those news reports my mother had done on television in reference to them holding me hostage? Those are supposed to be broadcasted publicly. They're messing with my mouth. When they do that, it kind of you might try to say the word publicly broadcasted, or they try to pinch your lips and it shortens your words. But anyways, when they do that, But anyways, in reference to the information of the Treasury and the Supreme Court and the Treasury of Europe and Treasury in America, and the Supreme Court and the courts in Europe and other places in Low Asia. And this is very important in reference to the Supreme Court of America making a statement of how big my lawsuits are against the American government and the branches of government that have been terrorizing my life, the people trying to steal my identity, people holding me hostage, the games that they had played against my mother when they had kidnapped me, the ransom notes, the ransom phone calls. Those are supposed to be on the website of my identity and who my parents are. Can't find a website. It's supposed to be a website of a picture of my mother and father and my picture there. Haven't seen one yet. Supreme Court, you going to put it together? Or the Treasury, you going to put a website together for me? Or did other people put a website together? Now, I'm copywritten, meaning like I'm copywritten, protected from anybody stealing monies from me or people profiting off of me and then shortchanging me or not paying me the monies that I was supposed to have received. There's guidelines in reference to Hollywood A-list celebrity status and athletic accomplishments of who I am and history of TV shows and movies or music, and there's a long history of things. And the Treasury is supposed to know what my value is, plus, other things in reference to companies and businesses that my grandparents owned and my mother and father owned, of which I am the owner of. So in reference to the lawsuits and the fact of the government, bad people that tried to get out of the lawsuits, that makes the lawsuits even larger against the bad government. Lawsuits only go up. In reference to their activities or their accusations or their abuses or their attempts of hurting me or their activity of hurting me and all the things that they have done. So, the media needs to hear, and people in America want to hear, obviously, inquiring minds want to know, what my value is, and people want to know how big the lawsuits are in reference to these criminals in government trying to steal everything from me. So, mentioning the Supreme Court or the Treasury, because they have records of information and data information, how valuable and what the value of my identity is and who my biological parents are and grandparents, So it's important to hear what the Supreme Court and the news media publicizing value of what the value is of my lawsuits against the government and the delays since the government has not paid me nothing. The Raw protocol of my identity is in the media 24 hours a day. And America is a first world country. And the activity of these government people terrorizing my life and the fact that I have not received any compensation yet. I got kidnapped from California. And people are blocking me from my mother and father's mansions. People are blocking me from, they even blocked me from, my mother had some mansions in Indianapolis too, didn't she? My father had property in Indianapolis, or Indiana, and other in Chicago, downtown Chicago, and other places in Chicago. And my parents had businesses in pretty much all 50 states, and international businesses in other places, So in reference to the Supreme Court and the Treasury, it's very important. How big do you think my lawsuits are against these bad people? They murdered my parents, and my parents was frozen. But these people murdered my parents. These people stole billions of dollars. How big do you think my lawsuits are? And when do you think I'm going to receive any compensation? This has been going on for so many decades, man. So many years. And I've not yet received a penny from anywhere. Can you do a press conference, Supreme Court, or the Media Relations Department of the Supreme Court, or the Treasury Media Department? Or maybe Walt Disney World can do a media story on it. I was born as a tycoon, so it's even documented that I was born as a royal, and I was born as a tycoon. So it's kind of it's very important that, because they have records of value of things, and they know how it's supposed to be multiplied in reference to people trying to steal my identity, or people trying to steal my value. Isn't that right, Supreme Court and Treasury Departments? And hello, U.S. Mint. And hello, England's Treasury, and France and Italy and Asia and other countries. And my parents even had money in Mexico too, didn't they? And Canada. We need some things on a website. It's pretty important, World Protocol of My Identity is on television 24 hours a day, and it has been since the day I was born.